The day started with a smile I didn't mean to have. I had spent an hour curling my hair, just trying to feel good about myself for once. My sister, Amber, was having her birthday dinner that night, the usual over-the-top event my parents threw for her every year. Even though I knew I'd be shoved into the background, I wanted to show up looking presentable. Maybe it was foolish of me, but I thought, what harm could it do just to look nice? When I walked into the dining room, the tension was immediate. Amber, in her silk dress and carefully done makeup, glanced at me and her lips curled. She turned to Mom and whispered, "She thinks she looks good tonight. She's trying to outshine me. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video?" Mom's face hardened. She set down her wine glass, stood, and walked over to me. She studied me like I was an intruder at her perfect party. "So this is what you spent your time on? Curling your hair, putting on that dress, acting like you're someone?" Her voice carried, and I felt every pair of eyes in the room shift toward me. "Mom, I just wanted to look nice," I whispered, my stomach twisting. She laughed, bitter and sharp. "You're pathetic. You think you'll ever look better than Amber? You're her shadow. Always have been. Always will be." Dad leaned back in his chair, smirking as if he was watching a comedy show. "Don't waste your breath, Linda. She needs a reminder." Then it happened. Mom grabbed the tall decorative mirror that leaned against the wall, the one she bought to flaunt her own reflection, and before I could move, she slammed it against the side of my head. The shatter echoed through the room. My knees buckled, tiny shards rained down onto the floor, sparkling like cruel confetti. Gasps filled the air, but no one moved to help me. My hand went to my temple, and though I didn't feel blood, the sting was blinding. I looked up at Mom through blurry eyes, my heart pounding. She smiled, vicious and proud. "There, now you're broken enough to remember your place." Dad chuckled, his voice dripping venom. "Finally, you look beautiful like trash. That suits you." Amber clapped her hands together once and laughed. "Perfect! Now the spotlight won't be stolen." The guests, distant relatives, family, friends, Amber's circle laughed nervously, caught between shock and loyalty to my parents. Some averted their eyes, others whispered, but no one stood up for me. I stood there trembling, my hair tangled with shards, my dress ruined. My chest burned, not just from the humiliation, but from the years of cruelty that had led up to this. Every insult, every dismissal, every time they called me useless while showering Amber with gifts, opportunities, and applause. Something inside me clicked, not a scream, not tears, but silence. Cold, calculating silence. I bent down slowly, picked up one piece of the broken mirror, and stared at my reflection in it. My face was bruised, my hair wild, my eyes wet, but I didn't see what they wanted me to see. I didn't see trash. I saw survival. I dropped the shard, the sound sharp against the marble floor, and looked at them all. My voice came out steady, low, dangerous. "You'll regret this." The room froze. Even Mom's smirk faltered for a second. Dad waved a hand dismissively. "Empty words from empty people. You'll always be a failure." But in that moment, I knew this was different. I wasn't going to crawl into bed and cry myself to sleep this time. I wasn't going to swallow their words until they became part of me. I was going to build something they couldn't laugh off, something that would crush the very pride they weaponized against me. And for the first time in my life, I saw fear flicker just briefly in Amber's eyes. After that night, I packed my bag with shaking hands. My scalp ached from where the glass had grazed me, and every time I touched the spot, I remembered Mom's smirk, Dad's laugh, Amber's clap of approval. I should have felt broken, but instead, every step I took out of that house burned with a strange new fire. I didn't say goodbye. I didn't give them the satisfaction of tears. The first weeks were brutal. I slept on a friend's couch, then rented a tiny basement room with peeling paint and a single window that barely let in light. I worked double shifts at a diner, took odd jobs cleaning offices at night, and studied whenever I could. People laughed when I told them I was saving for a business license. "With your background," they said, "you'll burn out before you begin." But I didn't burn out. I burned forward. Every insult my parents had hurled became fuel. Every time they called me useless, I worked harder. Every time Amber's life was plastered across social media, luxury dinners, vacations, gifts from mom and dad, I doubled down on my plan. They thought the mirror had shattered me, but really, it had reflected exactly what I needed to see. Them, in their full cruelty, and me, still standing. It took 2 years of sacrifice. I barely ate out, wore thrift store clothes, and worked hours that blurred one day into the next. But slowly, I built something real. I started a small interior design business, ironic maybe, considering how obsessed my mother was with appearances. But unlike her, I didn't just decorate to impress. I rebuilt homes for single parents, small families, struggling people who wanted dignity in their space. My designs were affordable, creative, and word spread fast. Soon, clients recommended me to bigger clients. By year 3, I had a steady flow of contracts. By year 4, I had a team of 3. And by year 5, I had something my parents never believed I'd touch: success, independence, and a reputation that outshone Amber's shallow spotlight. And then came the news that made me pause. Dad's company, the one he flaunted for years, the one he used as proof that he was better than me, was crumbling. Financial scandals, mismanagement. Mom had been barred from her country club after a public fight that ended up in the tabloids, and Amber? She was still living off their handouts, planning lavish parties that fewer and fewer people attended. They were slipping. And that's when I decided this wasn't just about surviving anymore. It was time to make them feel what I had felt. Not with fists, not with screaming, but with something that would crush the very pride they lived on. So I began to plan. I attended their events again, never as family, but as a guest invited by others who now wanted me at their tables. The first time I walked into one of Mom's charity galas, I watched her smile freeze. She tried to pretend she didn't see me, but every whisper, every glance toward me was a dagger in her pride. Dad avoided me altogether, his jaw tightening whenever my name came up. He knew people respected me now, and every ounce of respect I earned chipped away at his illusion of power. Amber tried to taunt me once, her voice dripping with the same smugness as always. "So what? You decorate people's living rooms now? Cute." I smiled at her, calm. Funny how the things you call cute are the same things paying my bills and exposing what you don't have. Her face turned red, but she had no comeback. Still, I wasn't satisfied. Watching them squirm wasn't enough. They had broken me in front of dozens of people once. They had weaponized humiliation. And I was going to return it. So I waited for the right moment. I learned patience, something my younger self never had. I studied their weaknesses. Dad's failing business deals, Mom's obsession with reputation, Amber's need to be adored. I connected with people they had mistreated over the years. People who were more than willing to share stories, receipts, evidence. And when the invitation arrived, Amber's engagement party, hosted by Mom and Dad in the same ballroom where they had once smashed me into silence, I knew. That would be the stage. The stage where I wouldn't just reclaim my dignity. The stage where I would crush their future. The ballroom was the same one where years earlier my hair had been tangled with shards of glass, my dignity crushed in front of everyone, but this time I walked in differently. My heels clicked against the marble, my dress simple but commanding, my head high. No longer the invisible girl clinging to scraps of approval, I was the storm they never saw coming. Amber was already at the center of attention, glittering in a designer gown, flashing the diamond ring her fiancé had given her. She looked up, spotted me across the room, and her smile faltered. "What's she doing here?" she hissed to Mom. Mom's face stiffened. She pulled herself together quickly, trying to paste on her fake society grin. "Oh, darling, she probably forced her way in. Don't cause a scene. She'll embarrass herself eventually." Dad, red-faced from the whiskey in his hand, muttered, "Like always, let her stand in the corner like the useless shadow she is." But I didn't stand in the corner. I moved through the crowd like I belonged, because now I did. Half the guests knew me from my work. Some came up to shake my hand, to thank me for what I'd built, for the lives I had changed. And with every handshake, every smile directed at me, I could feel my parents' pride crumbling. Still, they didn't know what was coming. The speeches began Amber's fiancé thanking his family, Mom boasting about how proud they were of their perfect daughter. Dad added his usual cruelty, chuckling. We always knew Amber was destined for greatness. Unlike some people, his eyes flicked toward me, sharp and dismissive. That was my cue. I stepped forward, microphone in hand, my voice calm and steady. You know, it's funny, I began, and the room quieted. 5 years ago, right in this same ballroom, my mother smashed a mirror over my head because she thought I looked too good next to Amber. My father laughed and told me I was beautiful like trash. My sister clapped like it was a show. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Mom shot up, her face pale. Stop this nonsense. You're making things up. But I raised a hand, silencing her. I kept quiet then. I went home, humiliated. I walked away with scars no one cared to see, but I didn't break. I built, and while they laughed, I worked. While they mocked me, I grew. And while they treated me like a nobody, I became somebody they could never control. The projector behind me lit up. I had arranged everything. Proof of Dad's fraudulent business deals, recordings of Mom screaming at staff and belittling them, and even testimonials from former friends who had been discarded when they weren't useful anymore. The words filled the ballroom, echoing like thunder. Your father scammed investors. Your mother stole donations meant for charity. They covered for Amber's failures and blamed others. Mom staggered back, her voice breaking. This is a lie! But it was too late. Faces in the crowd twisted in disgust. Whispers turned into pointed fingers. Amber's fiancé yanked his arm from hers, fury in his eyes. You didn't tell me any of this, he spat, storming off while Amber reached for him desperately. Dad slammed his fist on the table. How dare you? I stepped closer, my voice sharp. How dare I? You taught me humiliation. You taught me pain. Tonight, I taught you what it feels like to choke on your own pride. Silence blanketed the room, heavy and suffocating. My parents' empire of arrogance had collapsed in front of the very people they craved approval from. Amber sobbed, mascara streaking down her face, while Mom crumbled into her chair, staring blankly. Dad's hand shook so badly he dropped his glass, shards scattering across the floor, poetic maybe, considering the way they once shattered a mirror over me. I didn't stay to watch them beg. I didn't need to. I handed the microphone back and walked out the same doors I had walked out of years before, only this time, I wasn't broken. I wasn't invisible. I wasn't their failure. The whispers followed me as I left. She's the strong one. She survived them. She's the one worth admiring. And for the first time, I believed it. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.